new Detroit Tiger, joining us right now from the Coach A. Jack, how you doing? Great to have you on, and congratulations on signing with the Tigers, dude. How does it feel?
It feels good. I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a little bit of a busy morning, but it's good to be here.
Yeah,
What's
great to have
what's
you,
that
dude.
flex? What's that flex behind your head there? I know it's a
There's
busy
no
morning, but
flex, man. I'm trying to actually cover this thing up. I
no, we
finished
got to see
throwing.
it.
I ran out to the
Oh,
car.
that's Lambo, baby.
We got to see it.
I finished. No, 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 no. I finished throwing. I ran out to the car to try to give you guys some quiet and whatnot. So, yeah, we're doing all right.
We appreciate it, dude. So first off, let's get the behind the scenes. How did the Tigers deal come together? Were they one of the first teams to talk to you? You know, give us what you can now that you're officially on board.
Yeah. They were one of the first teams to come at me to come, and I sat down with Hinch. He came out and we had dinner, and then it was one of those things where we were in constant contact, and then things kind of happened real quick where it was it was like, all right, hey, we got to make a decision here soon, and it felt like they were always trying to make uh do whatever was possible, and so I wanted to get on a call with the pitching coach, and within about an hour I was on a call with all three pitching coaches there and Hinch, and we broke things down, kind of trying to figure out how can we make this work, what can we make happen, how do we get better, and how do we make these adjustments, and uh love what they had to say. I felt like it was a team last year playing against them. It was one of those teams that was sneaky. Um, and they kind of turned it on at the end of the year. And you look at their roster, you look at the guys they have, you look at them, bringing in Kenta, Skubal, he can throw it. You look at their lineup, and they brought in Javi, last year, and but they got some pieces, and it was one of those teams that going against them, you could see it. You could see the talent across the board, and it's I'm just looking forward to it.
I think you bring up a good point. I was going to bring that up as well. The pieces that you guys picked up, that AL Central's wide open. I mean, in my opinion, you got guys like Chafin, Canna, Shelby Miller, Maeda. You got some dudes that have been around for a while that could come up and dominate a game if they have to. So it feels like Detroit is going up in the level now to be where they
Yeah.
need to be. I mean, you got to be somewhat excited, no?
Oh yeah. I mean, you want to go somewhere and compete to win. I did that the whole time, in St. Louis, and then even getting traded over to Baltimore. So, I definitely, you look at this team and you look at the American League as a whole, you look at everybody, but it's one of those things where we got a chance to go out and win. And that's kind of the most important thing. That's what you look forward to every year. Every time you step into spring training, you want to keep going up, and up through November. I think the World Series went this year. So it's an exciting team, and it's an exciting place to be. So we got a chance to go out and compete. I got adjustments to make on my own that we're working on, and we've had conversations about how do we make that happen. So I'm looking forward to it.
What's the most important thing? You mentioned a lot of stuff. You mentioned the future of the organization. I know AJ, he pushes that to every free agent he talks to. When I talked to him about when he first got the job, he pushed about the future of the organization. You're on a 1-year deal. You're on kind of a prove it deal, if I'm not mistaken. You want to prove it, and you want to go back out to free agency. So what's the most important thing? Yes, winning a championship. But is it what kind of adjustments they're looking to make? Is it the cash that they're offering you to get that money this year? Is it facilities? Is it a coach? What is the one most important thing for you to be that number 4 in the Cy Young voting again, like you were just a few years ago?
It's hard to say that there's just one thing. I think that there's two pieces to it. Is communication. That the communication I had with them, the communication I had with Hinch, he was very honest with me and breaking things down when we went to dinner. And then with Fett as well, when we got on a call, and the way that he broke things down, and Robin and the guys that they have over there, the way that they broke things down, and the honesty that they gave me, and the way that they felt we could make adjustments, and how we could get back to you know where I was at, and prior to tearing my oblique and whatnot. So those were the things that were huge to me, was the communication and that aspect of it, and the honesty, which is something that I appreciated, and it was good to hear. Sometimes it's hard to hear certain things, but when somebody has the ability to be honest with you, you got to be able to take it and take the information and work with it. So it's that, and then the ability to go out and win and compete. So that's the other part of it. And if the team goes out and win and we go out and win, I'm probably doing something right as well. So that's the other piece of it. So the winning part should take care of, once those adjustments are made, the winning part kind of takes care of everything else.
I just kind of have a comment for what you just said about the honesty. Like, that is so important. That is something that is missed, that people don't understand. Players want to be told and to be just honest, because you want to be your best, and you may or may not trust the people you talk to, but I can tell you from personal experience, you can trust what AJ said. He's going to be honest, and he's going to give it to you straight. So I don't know any other coaches on that coaching staff, but if he's the one in charge, you got a straight shooter there.
Oh yeah, you could feel it. You could feel the honesty, and sometimes it's hard to hear, but it might hurt in that first few minutes after you hear it, and then you kind of break it all down, and you're like, all right, yeah, you're right, and so you appreciate it. You appreciate the fact somebody can be honest, and you're gonna be honest with you throughout the whole year.
Let me ask you this now, being injured, understanding injuries do happen. You go to Baltimore, struggle a little bit, injury's still there. Now, does your offseason change at all? Are you trying to do something different? Is there, a new program you're trying to do to make sure you're fully healthy as this year goes on?
Yeah, I mean, there's changes that have to be made. You start doing the same thing over and over again, expect different results. It's not really gonna work out. So we've made some changes. Change where I've been working out and living, and kind of just got away from things, and really been focused in on the way that I've been working out, the way I've been training, the way I've been moving. A lot of those things and struggles were affiliated with just the way that I was moving, and not being able to repeat some of my delivery over and over again. You kind of was able to, I felt like throughout this season I had spurts where things were really good, and then there were spurts where things were just not great at all. And you go over to Baltimore, first start there, everything was locked in, but just wasn't able to repeat it after that. And some of that was just strength, some of that was the way I was moving. And so we're trying to get back to be able to repeat it over and over again, because that's when you get 30-35 starts a year, you're gonna have a couple that just aren't great, and that's just the way it is. But and then you're gonna have some where everything works out perfectly, and then you got about 20 to 25 where you kind of work with what you got, but you want to make those as consistent as you got. You want to make those, those down periods you don't want them to be super low. So we've revamped some things. We working with the Tigers, constant communication with them, and just what they feel, and what we feel over here. So it's been productive. Still got a month or so left before I get out there. So it's been good so far.
What other teams reached out? Like, your boy Giolito signed with the Red Sox, and he was like, not as many as you think, although he ended up getting a nice little deal and also can break off free after a year if, he does what he should do. But what kind of interest was out there, if you can list?
Well, I mean, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he got his deal. He got what he wanted. He's
Mhm.
gonna, Boston got a good one. That's my guy. And then, but there was some interest with Kansas City, and who else was on that list? The White Sox, and a couple others that were interested but didn't turn into anything. So it was that part was kind of interesting. It was like, oh, we're interested, but we're waiting for this and that, and but then you get these teams with real interest, and you feel like a priority. So that was kind of important, as opposed to we're interested, but we got to wait for this and that. So there were some teams on that end.
You look at what a guy like Jordan Montgomery did in going over to the Rangers. Is there any part in your mind set going, you know what? What if I had a shot in the postseason to get to pitch and like show what I can do and dominate for 6 or 7 starts and take that team, take the Orioles to the World Series, kind of like Monty did? Like, do you feel like that? You feel like you kind of missed a chance there, or was there other things in those times?
I don't wonder what if, because it kind of falls on me. If I had gone out and pitched well, if I had taken that first start in Toronto and even the second start against Houston, I had continued to do that, I would have gotten that opportunity. But the Orioles made the decision that was best for them, and ended up moving me to the pen. So I can't really wonder what if. It was just like I didn't go out and pitch well, and that's kind of what happens when you're in a pennant. Like I've seen it when you're in a pennant race and you're trying to, win a division, win a division, and then go win a pennant. You got to make the best moves you can as a team. And at that point, we had guys that were chucking it. Bradish was throwing the ball really well. Grayson was throwing the ball really well. Kramer, Gibson, even going down to like Cole Irvin and John Means, like all those guys were throwing the ball well, and it just so happens I wasn't. So, I'm happy. Monty went out and shoved, and I kind of knew he was going to, just the way he is, being around him. He was locked in. He had his stuff figured out. So it's not that I wonder what if, because it's not like things weren't in my control. I just had to go out and pitch well, and I didn't do that. And it's pretty simple, black and white. So, you take it, you learn from it, and you go out and make the adjustments necessary so that you're not in that position again.
Speaking of adjustments, what was it like losing Yadier Molina as your everyday catcher, being, that young guy transitioning into the pitcher you are now? What was it like losing him, and then also not losing him, just he wasn't on a team anymore? that sounded terrible when I listened to it in my head. But what was it like losing that type of, like, your battery mate?
Yeah, I mean, you go through adjustments. Yadi was hurt at certain times, and you make the adjustments. We had, work with Kisner and work with Wieters over the course of that time and during those handful of years. But it's you lose a guy like that, and it's tough to come in and replace him. And Wilson came in, and he did an unbelievable job. And he got a brunt of a lot of, like, he took a lot of the blame, and it really wasn't him. And I'm at fault for that because of things that I said that I was not talking about him. And it was after we started against the Angels, and I'm talking about how we're throwing pitches that don't make sense. And what I really meant to say was I'm not executing. Like, I'm throwing two strike sliders that are being called and are the right pitch, and I'm throwing them right down the middle. And that was just something that was going on, and that has nothing to do with your catcher at all. Like, it doesn't. It just comes down to execution. And you can throw the right pitch, but when you throw it over the middle of the plate, I'm like, that doesn't make sense in my head as to why I'm doing that and what's going on. But he came in, he wanted to learn, he wanted to work, he sat with me. He didn't go to WBC, which was a huge plus. I got to throw to him every single time. We got to work, we got to do these things. And we just didn't execute, and that doesn't come down to pitch calling. You could have had Yadier Molina back there, and obviously it was an adjustment for everybody. But when you don't execute, bad things happen, and that has nothing to do with, like, you could call the right pitch, but when you don't execute, you throw things in the middle. Just bad things happen.
Yeah, bad things happen. Sometimes you have bad fingers. Your fingers need icing more than your arm. Do you feel like I was contending during that time of the year when you had made your comments, when when everything was going down early in the year, he's not going to catch, and then 10 days later he's mysteriously catching again. Do you feel like the organization kind of leaned on Yadi more, and somebody should have stepped up and been like, wait a minute, like, Yadi's been doing all this stuff for us? Guys weren't necessarily making scouting reports for you guys. Guys weren't necessarily preparing their team because they had Yadi. Do you think the organization was leaning on Yadi more than they realized when that crutch got kicked out from underneath them?
I think that it falls on the players, though. You want to look at the organization when it falls on the players. You got to, as much as you want to, for myself, like, I learned from Yadi and I learned from Waino, and Waino was as prepared as Yadi was going into every single start. So I took from him, and you go in and he's prepared. He's studied the hitters. He knows what's going on. He knows the situations. And then you can always fall back on Yadi. The guy, he's the smartest catcher in the game, understands everything, has an incredible feel, and you can rely on him to call pitches. And, he's going to call the right pitch, or at least what he thinks is the right pitch. And if you go out and execute, good things are going to happen. So I think, it comes down to trust, and there's always a learning curve when you get a new catcher and you get a new battery mate. And sometimes it takes a second, and it doesn't always click right away. And there's a little bit of a learning curve. And then you throw in the pitch clock too, where now you're, with with Yadi, it's one, you have that guy, you have this, what, 9-time Gold Glover, however many platinum gloves he's got, and you just trust him as an organization. And now you've got 15 seconds to make a pitch, and you come to an agreement on a pitch and make a pitch. Things sometimes you don't always agree, and that's just the way it goes. But you have to go in and be prepared. You have to know that what's going on, and to Wilson's credit, as a catcher, he went and did his work, and he listened, he paid attention. And sometimes the game just comes down to execution.
You're going to go ahead and make your 33 starts. You guys are going to go make the playoffs. Tigers fans are going to be super juiced. Outside of the physical attributes of what you're going to do on the field for the Tigers, what are you bringing to this team? What are you bringing to this team? Not that they don't have, because you haven't been on this team. You don't know Spencer Torkelson. You don't know Skubal and what he's bringing on the mound. What are you bringing to the team that you're going to be like at the end of your 33 starts, plus your postseason starts, you're going to be looking for $150 million in free agency next year? What is your lasting imprint that you're going to bring to this Tigers team?
That's a good question. Hopefully something that has been instilled in me that I've been given from Wayno and from Yadi, and some of that is just the hard work and the day to day, the work that goes in, the preparation that goes in, and if guys can just take a little bit of that, and you don't have to mimic it, you don't have to do this. Like, I may do some stuff that's over the top. I may be in there longer than I need to be, but if you can take some of that work ethic, and if you can take some of that, confidence to be able to bounce back after, I'm going to go out and have a tough start, but I'm going to be in there the next day working, and we're going to figure it out to the next one. And, trying to be the same consistent guy each and every day, and bringing that work ethic and bringing some of that experience. It's weird to say, being, I'm only 28, but I guess I'm, looked at as a veteran in there, and, having been around and been to the playoffs a couple times and been in some big games, and, teaching them the little ins and outs, and what goes into the game, what it means to go be that starter, and to be consistent, and, even position player wise, like, you just see some of the work. Like, I got that from Yad, the way that he worked and the way he went about his business. You can take some of that no matter who you are. And so I think being able to do that, and be able to kind of walk through the game and break down the game, and especially when you get into big spots and big situations and big moments, and be able to understand that it's still the same game. I think I got a lot to bring in terms of that, and in terms of just being consistent, and the work ethic, and everything that goes into it.
Hey, Jack, you're part of the Players Union. I don't know if are you still on the rules subcommittee too, or?
No, I got off the rules subcommittee, but
Okay.
I'm on the Players Union and the subcommittee for that. But I got off the rules committee, but I can answer anything about it.
Okay. So general question here for you, because obviously this show's independent, right? So we're not with the league. We're not like, we just cover the sport like it should be covered, which is whatever's going on. So general question, like, where do you think we're at with the game from a business standpoint, from a rules standpoint? Like, what are some of the things that are important to you that you try and pass on to younger players, and that you also try and kind of represent when you're talking to your peers about, what we should be thinking about as a sport?
The game's in a good spot. Obviously, the pitch clock had massive changes to it, just in terms of the game. I mean, we got down to 2 hours and 40 minutes of game time, which the league wanted, and I think across the board, I think fans adjusted as well as the year went on. Fans adjusted, players adjusted as the year went on. For fans, it was like, oh, like, you get a, fans, it was just quick. Like, that the back half of the game was a lot faster than it used to be, with relievers and whatnot coming in. And I think everybody adjusted to it and enjoyed it. You saw more people staying till the end. And then, we want to make more adjustments to it, which we didn't love. Like, truthfully, we didn't love the fact, like, well, we want to shave 2 more seconds off the clock, because somehow it's going to get us down to 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is what the league wants at the end of the day. Meanwhile, we have, like, a record setting for pitcher injuries, but we want to preach player safety, but we're shaving more time off the clock. So that's something that is just kind of going to be watched, and trying to make sure that guys are protected, and it's another year to adjust to it. So I think guys are going to continue to do that, but we're going in a good direction. There's some more rules that are going to be adjusted as we kind of go on. We talked about blocking bases, and a couple other things, but it'll be interesting how this rule goes with um, the runner's lane in at first base, and how that's going to be affected, and we'll see if that has an impact on the game at all. But players they just want to be given a chance for the game to not change. As you go through the game and you get into these bigger games and bigger situations, and you didn't see it. Surprisingly, I didn't see it a whole lot in playoffs, where you really need to slow the game down, and you take that second. But I think that guys still want to be able to use the little techniques that they've been using throughout their entire lives in terms of slowing the game down.
My question to you now, I want to change just a little bit of gears here. Yamamoto and Ohtani deals to LA. Talk a little bit about that, and how this is this helping baseball? Like, what do you think about this whole situation? I know they're going to be a dominant team, but how fascinating it was this offseason. Everybody's trying to figure out where they were going. LA just keeps getting better and better.
I mean, every player wants everybody to get paid, so it's a good thing when Shohei goes out and gets that. And then same thing with Yamamoto coming over. I mean, it just shows you the talent in Japan, and that they're coming. I mean, they got us in the WBC. Granted, we didn't necessarily have everybody, but those guys are studs, and if you're a stud, you deserve to get paid. Everybody deserves to get there. So I'm happy for both of them. It's good to see, teams spending money is a good thing. You want to see teams go out and spend money on these guys, and not nickel and dime. You're hoping that, when this thing's all said and done, that Snell gets paid, Monty gets paid. Who else? I forget who else is a free agent, but I know there's some studs out there still. So you want each and every one of them to get paid and get theirs. And Yamamoto and Shohei being in LA, being in a big market is good for the league, and it's good for everybody. I mean, it's going to be a fun team to compete against. So I can say that for sure. And then next year when Shohei comes back and is pitching again, it'll just be even more fun. So they got a good group over there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Now, you kind of lightly said it. You said, yeah, we didn't quite have everybody. You think we beat Japan there? You think we America, USA, you think we get them if all the boys show up?
Here's the thing. What was the final score of the game? 3-2?
Yep, 3-2. Trout was up.
Well, we had the lineup there, and it's not like it was a lack of pitching, because those guys went out and shoved. So, Merrill went out and shoved. All the guys that were there went out and shoved. So I guess I can't say we didn't have everybody. It was just one of those things where they scored one more run than we did. It's not like, it was a 7-3 ball game and we got out pitched. Like, those guys went out and shoved. Those guys can do it. Merrill's a stud. He went out and did his thing, and everybody else who pitched in that game went out and did it. So, I guess thinking back on it after you say that, like, we kind of did just get beat, and it came down to one of those things where it was it was a good game. It was fun. You'd love to play that game multiple times and see what happens, kind of like the World Series.
Hey, Jack, I got one more for you on your other buddy from school. So why isn't Max Fried on one of those long ass Braves extensions? And I mean,
Great
obviously,
question.
I'm just wondering. I'm sure they've had some type of conversations over the years. I know last year he missed some time with injury, but he's one of the best pitchers in the league. We all know that, and I think he's going to have an insane year and probably make $200+ million next offseason. But have you looked at that and been like, damn, Braves should have locked him up 5 years ago?
I mean, Max deserves to get paid. That's for sure. He deserves to get paid wherever that ends up being. If it's not in Atlanta, then it's not in Atlanta. But that dude's a stud. He's been a stud since he came into this league. You look at what he did with them on their World Series run. I mean, he was their workhorse. And if they're in it, he's doing something right, and he's out there shoving. So he's right there with Strider. He's gonna go out and win games. Strider's going to put up the gaudy numbers. He's going to punch everybody. And Max is just going to go out there silently, go anywhere from 6 to 9 innings, and he's gonna shove it. So that's just what he does. It may not be, he may punch out 300 guys. Like, he's got the stuff to do it. Just, but he's gonna find a way. He's gonna go 6 innings or 9 innings, and he's gonna give you a quality start every time. And that's the kind of guy you want. As to why, I don't know why. I would have, but you could say that about a lot of guys who end up making it to free agency, and teams don't end up signing them. And it's kind of, one of those questions of why would you not, want to do it? Why would you wait and let this guy get to free agency when, everybody would like to get paid. And if you love the team, like that's where you want to be. So, but I'm looking forward to Max's year. He's doing well. He's going to go out. He's going to do his thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing where he finishes in Cy Young.
Dude, is it annoying that you get asked about either Giolito, Fried, every single time? Like,
Those are his
I
boys,
love it.
though.
Yeah, I don't
No,
care if
not
you're
at all.
boys. Like, at some point, like, you want to be – it's like when we had the Palacios on. The Palacios, like, they don't need to always be talked about Richie and Joshua. Like, they're their own people.
I will answer questions about them and pump them up and let everybody know that they're the 2 biggest studs in the world. And then, sooner or later, it's going to turn into Pete Crow Armstrong, too, who debuted with the Cubs this year. And I've known Pete since, Pete played with my little brother. So I've known Pete since he was 7. And that's going to come up here soon, once he starts doing his thing in Chicago. So I'm just waiting for that one, too. So I'm all for it. I'll take those questions every day. I love talking about those guys.
If you go back and watch when Max was on the show, it was at the Players Trust weekend when we were out in
Yeah, we
Vegas.
saw Jack there. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah, yeah.
Jack, but I didn't say hi. He was too cool, too good looking. But
Well, no, we were
I ran
on air.
off.
I saw Jack. I wanted to say hi, but we were literally interviewing people. So I think I saw him, give a little love tap to Max as he was walking by.
so Max was on, and I'm so glad that you're on, because what's your school called? Westlake give up a
Harvard
hit to
Westlake.
Kratz?
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry.
He knew. Did you know that I got a hit against you? Me.
Yeah.
A Bobo
yeah.
backup catcher.
I mean, I've given up enough hits in my day, especially to Milwaukee. So it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me giving up hits against Milwaukee. That's the way it goes.
It was just one. Max remembered it. He actually brought it up. I wasn't going to bring it up to him, but that one was a double. Yours was just a broke single. But
I've given up hits to both of you guys. I remember giving up hits to Frage, so I remember that one a little bit more. That doesn't mean anything, but I remember that one when he was in New York.
Yeah, he probably did a little more damage. I did less damage.
No, just one of his one-handed off the end of the bats. One of those he manages.
Yeah, he was good at those.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Scott, I can't hear you. I don't know if it's me or whatnot, but I can't hear you.
Peace. Good luck. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Scotty was just saying how much he hates your Lamborghini and
Shut
how
up.
much.
No,
he was just saying.
Oh, I'm back.
He was just saying
Jack,
congratulations.
Yeah, dude. Just saying congratulations, man. We appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on with us here for the first time. Enjoy the rest of the offseason. We'll see you in camp in good old Lakeland.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys.